The relay chamber hummed around me with that particular pitch that suggested something inside the wall was either heroically functioning or preparing to explode. I tapped the console with 2 fingers, the universal gesture for please behave, and leaned in to check the calibration nodes again. That was when I saw her passing by the threshold, the long-eared alien officer whose presence made the fluorescent lights seem suddenly too bright and my posture suddenly too human. Her ears shifted with every distant sound, reacting like living antennae tuned to a private universe of frequencies. I didn't mean to whisper anything. Truly. The thought simply slipped out, softer than a breath, accidental, treacherous. "She's the most magnificent woman I've ever seen," I murmured, still pretending to read the console. It was the kind of whisper a human wouldn't hear even if they were leaning over your shoulder. But she wasn't human. Her stride slowed. One ear angled toward me, then the other. She turned her head very slowly, like someone following a laser pointer across a wall. I froze, a wrench in one hand and my dignity rapidly leaking out of the vents. She looked directly at me, expression unreadable. I opened my mouth and through the sheer force of self-preservation produced the worst lie in the entire sector. "I was talking to the relay panel," I said. "It's magnificent. Truly a marvel, best circuitry I've ever seen." Her eyes flicked to the panel, then back to me. Her ears gave the faintest twitch, the alien equivalent of a raised eyebrow. "Your relay panel?" she asked, voice soft but carrying an undertone like a distant chime. "It is magnificent. It has a certain charm," I said. "A rugged beauty, very symmetrical wiring." She stepped closer, too close. Close enough that I could hear tiny clicks inside her ears as she adjusted their sensitivity, a sound that made my spine straighten as if I'd suddenly been assigned a posture audit. "Your whisper was directed forward," she said, "not downward toward the panel." "Ah, yes, well, I sometimes whisper forward for clarity." "Is that a human custom?" "Brand new one," I said. "I invented it just now." To my surprise, she laughed, not loudly but brightly, like 2 small bells bumped together by accident. The tension in my chest uncoiled a little, though it didn't entirely leave. It merely sat down to watch the situation unfold with morbid curiosity. She extended a hand. "I am Aaron, Scout Commander of the Cathari Fleet. You are Raylan, the human engineer who shouts at machinery." "I don't shout," I said. "I raise my voice therapeutically." "You screamed at a coolant pump in the docking bay." "It screamed first." She laughed again, and for a moment her ears relaxed into a loose, drifting posture I would later learn indicated amusement. Then they perked sharply as if picking up a distant signal. "You whispered very quietly," she said. "Why would you whisper if you expected no one to hear?" "Well," I said, "that depends. Did anyone hear?" Her smile gave me a very clear answer. Before I could invent another brilliant lie, an alarm blipped on the wall. One of those polite alarms meant to say, "Something is wrong, but not wrong enough to ruin your afternoon unless you ignore me." I rushed toward the control console, grateful for the excuse to flee the gravitational pull of my own embarrassment. Aaron followed, watching the blinking display as though reading it through layers of sound. "Your ship's frequency dampeners are unstable," she said. "They're resonating with our navigation beacons." "That explains the headache I've had for 3 days," I muttered. "I thought the cafeteria's experimental seasoning blend was to blame." "It was," she said. "Your seasoning blend tasted like compressed regret, but this is also a problem." Despite the situation, her tone carried an easy, curious warmth, as though she were exploring both the malfunction and me with equal interest. It made focusing difficult. I adjusted the dampener alignment, Aaron correcting me whenever I pushed a control a half millimeter too far. Her ears tracked every vibration I produced, even the ones I didn't know I was making. "You humans," she said thoughtfully, "speak loudly even when you think you are quiet. We like dramatic emphasis. You whisper dramatic emphasis as well." "That was not." She leaned slightly closer. "Magnificent." I choked on the air. Just absolutely choked on it. But when her ears slowly lowered in what I recognized as the Cathari equivalent of gentleness, the panic softened. She wasn't mocking me. Not really. She seemed curious, almost touched, and maybe a little confused that a human would say such a thing so softly it wasn't meant to be heard, except she'd heard it anyway. We finished the repair in companionable awkwardness, the kind where two people keep almost speaking at the same time and then both retreat, creating a rhythm of hesitation that somehow felt comfortable. When the hum of the dampeners finally settled into a peaceful frequency, Aaron stepped back and watched me for a moment longer than necessary. "You may continue whispering to machinery if it helps your work," she said. "But if you whisper toward me again, I will always hear it." "That's good to know." She gave a small, maddeningly soft smile before turning away, long ears trailing behind her like banners of unread messages. And as she walked down the corridor, part of me knew that one accidental whisper had already rewritten the trajectory of my very predictable life. The briefing room smelled faintly of ozone and over-caffeinated technicians, which meant a major mission was coming, and at least 3 people had already panicked into spilling something. I slipped into my seat, trying to look like someone who definitely hadn't spent the entire morning replaying an accidental whisper in his mind. Erin stood at the front with the other Cathari officers, her long ears shifting in tiny, precise angles as she listened to the chatter in frequencies none of us could hear. When she noticed me enter, one ear dipped in a subtle acknowledgement I pretended not to be thrilled about. I sat straighter than any human spine intended to. The mission overview flickered to life. A shared human, Cathari data vault had begun broadcasting encrypted signals to unknown coordinates, and if we didn't stop it, several worlds would wake up tomorrow to discover someone had siphoned their classified intelligence, private messages, and worst of all, their tax archives. Nothing destabilized a galaxy faster than leaked tax documents. "You will work in pairs," Captain Rel announced. "Cross-species pairings to increase analytical range." Aaron's ears turned toward me instantly. I could practically feel the gravitational pull of destiny tugging at my collar, and sure enough, Rel pointed straight at us. "Commander Aaron, Engineer Raylan, you will lead the technical analysis." Aaron approached with a look that said she expected competence and a posture that said she expected chaos. With me, both were safe assumptions. "We will begin at once," she said. "Your tools, bring all of them." "All of them?" I asked. "Even the ones that explode if I look at them wrong?" "Yes." "Perfect. Love that for my life expectancy." She walked beside me through the corridor, ears subtly rotating as if collecting data from the ship itself. It was strangely comforting, like having an extra set of senses nearby that occasionally judged my footsteps for being too loud. We reached the secure lab, where the malfunctioning data vault interface pulsed with a faint, ominous glow, the kind of glow that suggested it wanted to talk but might be lying. I set my tools out in what I considered an organized manner, and what Erin considered chaotically threatening. She pointed at the scattered array. "Is this intentional?" "Yes." "And functional?" "Debatable." She gave a light, amused exhale and knelt beside the vault, delicately touching her palm to the surface. Her ears lifted sharply. "There is a resonance inside. Something is altering the core frequency." "Can you hear it?" "Yes." "It sounds like someone attempting to imitate a Cathari distress signal, but doing it poorly. Like off-key." "Very off-key. If it were a singer, it would be exiled." I tried not to laugh too loudly. I failed. We worked side by side, tracing the corrupted signals through tangled circuitry and hybrid tech that definitely hadn't been installed by anyone sober. Aaron's calm precision balanced my improvisational chaos, and somewhere between my accidental short-circuiting of a diagnostic panel and her unflappable correction of every mistake I made, we fell into an easy rhythm. Then I dropped a metal connector. It hit a resonant crate with a clear, ringing tone. Erin froze. Her ears shot upward in alarm. I blinked. "Was that bad?" She closed her eyes. You have just activated the Cathari formal dual challenge frequency. Someone's going to try to fight me. Yes. Who? She pointed behind me. An entire squad of Cathari soldiers stood at attention, staring at me as if I had personally insulted their ancestors. One stepped forward, posture rigid. We accept your challenge. No, 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 I said quickly, waving both hands. I don't challenge anyone. I barely challenge my alarm clock. Aaron stepped in front of me, her ears angled in authoritative dismissal. He does not know what he is doing. He is human. The squad collectively nodded in understanding, murmuring sympathetic things like, unfortunate and tragic species limitation. Once they dispersed, Aaron turned to me with a look that hovered between amusement and disbelief. How did you make that sound by accident? I possess gifts, I said. Dangerous, unwanted gifts. Her ears softened in that subtle way I was beginning to recognize as fondness. She returned to the vault and we resumed our work. After several hours of cross-analyzing signal echoes, Aaron suddenly straightened, ears taut. There is a foreign pattern embedded inside, she said. Intentional sabotage. I leaned in, someone on board. Someone close, she murmured. Someone who understands both technologies. A ripple of unease passed through me, but she seemed steady, confident, ready. I wondered if her species could hear a human heart accelerate from nerves, from fear, or from being within one breath of someone like her. When we finally cracked the scrambled resonance, the vault's corrupted signal reassembled on the screen, a map of stolen pathways leading deeper into the ship. Aaron stood, ears lifting as though receiving an invisible transmission. We must follow it together. Her tone was calm, certain, as if she'd already decided I was the human she trusted, with technology, with danger, maybe even with more than that. And despite the rising tension, I felt something warm stir through the worry. Because the more trouble we walked into, the more certain I became that I wanted to be the one walking beside her. The stolen signal wound through the corridors like a digital breadcrumb trail, pulsing faintly against the ship's bulkheads. Aaron followed its sound with the effortless certainty of someone tuning into a private melody, while I jogged beside her and tried very hard not to look like a human panting through existential dread. Her long ears tilted and rotated, picking up every faint echo of the saboteur's work, and every so often she glanced back to make sure I hadn't been kidnapped by a ventilation duct or tripped over my own feet. Reasonable concerns. We reached the navigation core, its doors half open in a way that suggested someone had entered without authorization, and possibly without proper respect for hinges. Inside, the air hummed with unstable frequency waves that made my teeth buzz in their sockets. Aaron's ears flattened sharply. The core is misaligned. If it destabilizes further, the ship will be caught by the micro-singularity outside. Great, I said. So we're basically balancing a starship on the edge of a cosmic drain. That is an accurate analogy. I was hoping you'd say I was exaggerating. No, we moved quickly. Or rather, Erin moved quickly while I hustled behind her in the energetic style of a man determined not to be vaporized today. We reached the central console, where the corrupted signal had been woven directly into the navigation algorithms. Whoever did this knew both human systems and Cathari resonance encoding, and they'd stitched them together in a way that was impressive if you ignored the whole catastrophic end-of-everyone part. Erin placed her hand on the console, her ears twitching with the rapid-fire adjustments of someone listening to dozens of conflicting frequencies. I can suppress the rogue resonance for a moment, she said. You must recalibrate the human alignment core. I can do that, I said confidently, before immediately dropping my toolkit. Several items rolled under the console in a dramatic illustration of why no one should give me responsibility. Erin bent down, retrieved a wrench, and placed it gently in my hand like she was handing a child a very safe, very soft toy. You can do this, she said quietly. Somehow, the simple certainty in her voice settled the frantic static in my chest. I took a breath and got to work, adjusting the alignment nodes one by one while she countered the chaotic frequencies surging through the core. Sparks of mismatched energy flickered between our systems, one moment singing human tech, the next resonating in Cathari tones. It was like trying to fix a musical instrument that hated being tuned. A sharp vibration rattled the deck. Erin hissed through her teeth. The saboteur set a trigger. If the resonance spikes, the ship will be pulled into the singularity. That seems rude. It is extremely rude. I tightened the calibration nodes as fast as I dared. My hands were shaking, not from fear alone, but from realizing I no longer wanted to run from moments like this. Somewhere between the first awkward whisper and this crisis, I'd changed. I wasn't the guy who talked to machinery because people were harder. Not anymore. Not with her standing beside me. The core emitted a rising whine, the kind that usually precedes catastrophic explosions or at least dramatic system failures. Erin's voice cut through it. Raylan, now. I slammed the final recalibration into place. The navigation core convulsed, flickered, and then shuddered back into alignment. The frequency waves calmed. The resonance stabilized. The hum returned to its normal, pleasantly unthreatening pitch. Erin exhaled slowly, ears relaxing into their soft, drifting pattern. We succeeded. I leaned back against the console. We should probably leave a note for whoever cleans this room. Something like, "Sorry about the scorch marks. Also the smell." "It smells like fear," she said matter-of-factly. "Yes, that would be me." Her ears dipped in amusement. But then her expression softened, and she stepped closer, tilting her head slightly as if tuning to something inside me. "You have changed," she said. "You stand more steadily. Your voice no longer wavers at every sound." "Only at some sounds," I admitted, "particularly the ones shaped like you." Her ears lowered gently, a gesture I'd come to recognize as a kind of Cathari affection. "I heard every whisper," she said quietly, "even the ones you did not mean to make." I swallowed. "Did you mind?" "No." She paused, then added, "I replayed the first one many times." I blinked, really. It was unexpected, honest. Humans try to speak loudly to be understood. You spoke softly, and yet it reached me. A strange warmth spread through my chest, unfamiliar and exhilarating. "Erin," I said, "if you're hearing everything I'm thinking right now, I sincerely apologize." She laughed, stepping closer until her long ears brushed lightly against my shoulder, a gesture that felt more intimate than any words could have been. "I do not hear thoughts," she said, "only the sounds you choose to give the world." I chose one, a small one but loud enough. "I'm glad it was you." She didn't blush, but her ears folded inward in a way that made my heart attempt parkour. "And I am glad it was you," she replied. The ship steadied around us, crisis resolved, the saboteur's trail already being tracked by security teams who had definitely not saved the day as stylishly as we had. As we walked out of the navigation core, our steps fell into natural sync. For the first time, I didn't feel like a background technician scrambling between disasters. I felt like someone who had faced something impossible, and someone who mattered to the long-eared alien woman walking beside me. And when she leaned closer as we reached the corridor, her voice barely above the whisper that started everything, she said, "If you speak softly again, I will always listen."